panel. Now, I do want to make a couple of announcements because we have one of our vendors is Professional Women Information Network. They're giving away a $100 Amazon gift card. So if you have not stopped by their table, make sure they are local to Atlanta. Again, it's called the ProWin, Professional Women in Information Network of Greater Orlando. All right, so she's giving away a $100 gift card. So make sure you go out. I know we have other breakout sessions that will be ending, and those will be other people coming in as well. Also, make sure you go see the Smart Money Financial Group. They are also a vendor today, so make sure you're stopping by all of the vendor tables, all right, so that you can really receive all that this conference has to offer. All right, again, sponsors, all right, a special shout out to our sponsors. We like to thank all of our amazing sponsors, the House of Options. They actually sponsored the meet and greet last night. If you were not here, it was great, y'all. It was great networking. All right, she teaches you about stock trading. All right, also we have of course, the Lady CPA. I am one of today's sponsors, as well as Della W. Wines, Say Yes to Profits, the Chosen Legacy Project, focused on coaching and consulting, and of course, Cheryl Barnett and Nala Madison Home. All right, y'all, we're going to get ready for this next session breakout. Now, this panel of esteemed women, all right, we're going to meet them. This will be your entrepreneurship and growth, all right? Entrepreneurship and growth. Now, even if you do not own a business, right, these are the foundations that you want to set as you begin to consider what businesses you would like to start, all right? We're gonna get started, y'all, all right? I'm gonna introduce my panel. All right, we have Tiffany Grant of Life Path Healing Center.
Hello, everyone.
We also have Chef Lachey Calvin of Auntie Soul Food and Sweet.
Hello, everyone.
Love it. Lynn Woods of Woods Inspired Media. And of course, Erica LaShawn, the Raw Form Wellness. All right, y'all, so I'm gonna actually let every lady introduce themselves, tell you a little about their business. We'll start over here to my left with Chef Shay of Auntie Soul Food and Sweets. Just introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Chef Shay, owner of Auntie Soul Food and Sweets and founder of Auntie's House Incorporated. We are from Louisville, Kentucky, and we are your favorite diverse luxury catering company and nonprofit educational for our local youth.
Lynn. So let me tell you about Lynn, y'all. So Lynn and I were talking outside. So I love Lynn because hers is a faith-based media, all right? Faith-based media. Is there anything else you would like to tell them about yourself, Lynn?
Let's see, well, of course, I'm the founder of Lynn Woods Inspired Media. We do faith-based media projects. We're currently working on a documentary that's based on women behind the scenes of gospel. We do press releases and bios. I've interviewed folks, celebrity gospel folks, and faith-based business owners. Probably have 30 years experience in it. From Los Angeles to St. Louis, back and forth, and back to St. Louis.
I love that, y'all. Okay. All right.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Tiffany Grant. I am the owner and founder of Life Path Healing Center. I am a licensed professional counselor and a therapist for over 15 years. So what I do in my business is I have traditional therapy, talk therapy, but also do a holistic approach, so intuitive counseling, also Reiki and ancestral healing. So that's basically what I do in my business.
I love it.
Good morning, or afternoon, I think it is. I'm Erica LaShawn. Those are my dogs. They're my paid spokespersons. I am a licensed marriage family therapist, a holistic psychotherapist. Also, integrative mental health is my specialty. So I incorporate alternative methods of healing like meditation and breath work and somatic movement. And so I just create a holistic space for people to come and just be themselves and heal as they see fit.
I love it. So we're going to get into this discussion now, so I want you guys to listen up, all right? And we will have questions at the end. So we're going to talk about what inspired all of these ladies for entrepreneurship, and then some of the growth tips that they may can give everyone about scaling your business, adding additional services, anything that you may have when it comes to growing your business. So I'm going to start with Erica, all right, in Raw Form entrepreneurship in general. So what made you decide that I'm going to just go out and I'm going to do it?
Yeah, so I've been an entrepreneur probably since I was a little girl, as I was always looking for an opportunity, always looking for a way. My grandmother raised me, and she would always say, your gifts will make room for you. So she was always kind of planting that seed that, what you have, you can actually use it and be of service to other people. So as early as I can remember, I've been hustling. But as far as being an entrepreneur, I launched my first business probably about 15 years ago, and as a social service agency, H.E.R Community Board. And from there, I've always had a passion for dance. I took liturgical and lyrical, and so then I launched a praise break studio, a dance studio. I did that for 7 years until COVID. And so all of those things kind of led me into this space of healing, being a licensed mental health professional, and incorporating alternative medicine healing through movement to where I am now in raw form wellness, my practice. And so I think it's always kind of just been in me to be an entrepreneur. Launching, taking that next step, that came with evolution and progress.
I love it. Okay, and what would you say the same thing for you, Tiffany?
So, I work at the VA, so I do like more crisis therapy there. And I remember talking to a friend of mine, and I knew, even though I was helping veterans, I knew that I needed to do more. I felt like I needed to do more. And so as time progressed, life happens, and I felt pulled. Something told me, start your business. And that was my intuition telling me. And so I trust my intuition. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, well, I don't know what's my name. I'm looking at everything and trying to figure out. And then as I was working, the name came to me. Name is Life Path. Okay. And so as time progressed, started to do, talk therapy. And then I started having clients, and when I started talking to the clients, and then they would tell me about their, what was going on, and then I realized, okay, it's good that we're talking about their symptoms, but it's something more underneath. It's something spiritual, it's something more with that, ancestral, because also our ancestors also paved the way, and also when it comes to our symptoms and things like that, we could be carrying something that our great-great-grandmothers have carried. And so I wanted to dig deeper into that, and so I decided to open up my practice, and then that's the reason why I do ancestral work. I also do intuitive counseling, so I tap in to see what's going on, what is your reason for why you're seeking help. Not just, okay, I have anxiety, I have depression. Why are you having depression? Why you have anxiety? Is it something that's tied to your ancestors, or is it something that your subconscious or your spirit is yearning that you need to do something that you haven't tapped into? And then I also do Reiki energy healing as well. So that was the reason why I decided to start my business, because I want to help people go back to who they're supposed to be in their lifetime. Because God has also put in our life like, hey, you're supposed to be who you are. So that's the reason why I decided to start my business.
I love it. I tell you, this is the journey to becoming, right? Every day that you wake up, you just realize or remember. I tell people, my mom's sitting over there, y'all, and we grew up in church. I'm a PK, right? So in the old school church, you would always have that old thing for funerals, and it would say, in remembrance of me. And that's what your life is. Like, your life is literally you remembering why you're here. So I love it. Even as a part of the entrepreneurship and the business that you start, it's really your legacy, right? And it's really your life saying, okay, this is due in remembrance of me. But what is that remembrance gonna look like, right? So that's your business, that's you, right? It's everything that you're growing. I love it. All right, Chef Shay, entrepreneurship, what made you start? I love your story. I know a little bit of her story, y'all.
So I started Auntie Food and Sweets as a therapeutic. I went through a relationship and then went directly into. I know something's wrong with me. Sorry. Can you hear me? Okay, sorry.
No.
Okay, so. One more time. All right, what about there? All right. I went into a very bad relationship, and coming out of the relationship, I walked into taking care of my dementia grandmother. And so from that, I had to teach her how to do everything all over again. You know, when people say twice a child, once an adult. And so I found that cooking and baking was a safe space for my grandma. Even though they tell you this is this and this is that, I found out that it was safe for her, and so it kind of made it safe for me. And so I didn't have a lot to start with. I didn't have a lot of anything. I just knew how to cook. So I kind of started cooking, started selling plates, and then in return I was like, oh, I can make some really good money off of doing this. As a single mom of 4, I was like, okay, I got 4 employees. So I kind of just took what I had in front of me and began to build. And within building that business plan became Auntie Soul Food and Sweets. In Louisville, we are known for our different cuisines. We do different things with children, teaching them the same entrepreneurship and the same blueprint that I have. We teach it to children between the ages of 14 so that they can learn how to make money and take care of mom instead of moms having to consistently take care of kids as well. And so for me, it was finding a way to use a tool to keep my family together and to create peace in the same sense, which then the money came directly after. So.
I love that. I'm hearing a lot of generations from this panel, right? I'm hearing a lot about grandparents and ancestors, and I'm loving it. So this is a really, I'm gonna call y'all my panel of generational healers, child, okay? All right, and then for Lynn, what inspired you for entrepreneurship?
Let me see, I would say that I just kind of also walked into it. I was raised in it. My parents owned businesses since I was 10 years old. And like you putting the kids to work, they put us to work.
Yep.
So they had restaurants, grocery store, they sold records, they sold liquor. And started from there, getting trained from there. But I always had an interest and a passion for media. So I remember my dad bought me a tape recorder. See, they had tape recorders back then that you talked into. There was a little tape thing on, a little cassette thing. So he bought me one of those, and I would talk into it and practice speaking. And so therefore, and I was good at it. I was like, okay, well, you know what? Maybe this is something that I should be looking into doing because it was effortless. Anything that is effortless is usually a gift that God has given you. And it doesn't require a lot of work. It requires you to stay on purpose and to continue to grow in that area. So from there, went to college, graduated from Fisk University, got into radio there, came back to St. Louis. Oh, I grew up in St. Louis. Got into radio, came back to St. Louis, got hired at a radio station. I was a volunteer at first, but then my supervisor, she refused to work one day because she had a class. The general manager came to me and he said, you know what? If you can write this commercial, produce it, get it on the air by 5 o'clock, you got a job. So I did that. And that's how I got started in radio. And a part of the whole thing was building relationships. Left from radio, went to some TV and NBC affiliate in St. Louis. From there, went to LA, where I ended up doing marketing for regional marketing coordinator for the Ice Capades. I worked at Warner Brothers Records, Warner Brothers Pictures, worked with various kinds of recording artists back in the day, like Prince, Frankie Beverly and Mays, George Benson, I think Miles Davis was on the tail end of that. The Winans, Take 6, and from there went into, I said, okay, I think I'm tired of records. Let me go through print. I became a gospel editor at a national music publication called the Urban Network, where I interviewed everybody from CeCe Winans to BB Winans to Take 6, Yolanda Adams, Kirk Franklin, Fred Hammond, today's folks like Jacqueline Carr, Jonathan Reynolds, and folks like that. In addition to that, I also formed my media company. and went from there, just building upon that, the media company. And in 2000, that was in 2000, that I finally did all the paperwork, registered for LLC in the city of St. Louis, because I came back, and from there it just kept growing. We produced events like this. My team right here was
That's my St. Louis crew, y'all. That's what I call it.
We produced this event, co-produced this event last year. So it's that, producing events, doing media, interviewing folks. It's some more stuff, but I think I'm going to shut up right now because you got more with your panel.
I love it, and that's what entrepreneurship is, y'all. You know, I'm a huge fan of Shark Tank, so if anyone has never watched Shark Tank, watch Shark Tank. Like, Shark Tank literally gives you everything you need as long as you pay attention to who you are. If there is an opportunity, then you can feel it. So it's really just about the opportunity or the need. Many of the panelists have even spoken about being in, you know, mainstream and then moving over into entrepreneurship, and it's still based on whatever is in your heart, right? Because that's what's going to allow the growth as well. It'll be difficult to scale something that you don't believe in, right? So if you are growing things for yourself, you have to align yourself with that. So I do want to talk a bit to growth, right? Like areas where you saw that you could scale your business from when you started it to where you are now. And I think Lynn did a great job literally of showing us how she went from, you know, the mainstream into growth, right? So it's about growth. All right, so I want to see, Tiffany, what will you talk about when we say growth? Like, how have you seen your original business formation to where it is now and what that growth looks like?
Well, how my growth looks like is, well, in the beginning, like I said, it was, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to move forward. I didn't know what my business would eventually look like. So what I ended up having to do was just take a leap of faith. You know, I attended different workshops, different certifications, just to kind of feel like, okay, I felt pulled to go to different classes, things like that. So I participated in that. Like I said, became a Reiki practitioner. And then as that happened, then someone told me like, hey, you need to start posting. You need to start being more visible. So even though I'm like, okay, I'm not big on social media, well, let me go ahead and just take that. So I had to get out of my comfort zone. So then as I do that, and then I'm like, okay, well, let me go ahead and, you know, do, like I said, just be more visible. So then after that, I decided to step out and then do workshops. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to do a workshop. So I was like, okay, let me just do a workshop. And then all of a sudden, clients started to come. And then as the clients started to come, I started like, okay, everybody's welcome. Come on, I'll take you, I'll do all this stuff. And then I realized I was overextending myself. And then as I realized I overextended myself, I became burnt out. Like, I'm doing, you know, hosting, I'm seeing clients, and I'm like, okay, I have to scale back. I'm like, okay, what does that look like for me? And that for me said setting boundaries. So then as I did that, I started creating my schedule how I wanted to, and then as time progressed, and then all of a sudden, some people like, well, hey, I want you to, you know, be, you know, kind of part with me and just grow like that. So that's how growth looks for me. And then, like I said, more involved in is trusting my intuition, also step out of your comfort zone. Because like I said, there'll be things that you're like, I'm afraid I didn't do that before, I've never done that. But you never know what, when you step out, what it leads to.
And I love the partnership aspect, right? Because if there's an idea that you have and you have someone similar and you can work together to grow the ideas and even scale, then that's always something you guys want to look at too. So growth is also about partnership, you know, like and growing and understanding what it is that you desire. I love it. All right, Tiffany. Oh, sorry, Erica. Erica.
Yeah, no, that was really good, Tiffany. Thank you for sharing. So I think one thing that that resonated with me is that intuition. So for me, it's been about alignment. Like I said, my grandmother was so instrumental in my upbringing, those biblical, spiritual principles, but always about finding my purpose. That's always been one of those things, like I want to be in line with what I was supposed to do in my life. But I would say for me, my journey started from my pain. And my pain then became essentially a part of my purpose. And I've always been looking for just this sense of alignment. So I was in corporate America for most of my career in executive leadership. But even in that space, before corporate America, I was started off studying psychology, and I was like, well, you know, that's not gonna make me a lot of money, but Express Scripts will. So I did that. But even in interacting with my staff, you know, and I was always in that space of healing and always in that space of holding space for them. And so I will tell you, people will tell you who they need if you listen. And so my whole life, people have said, you just have this ability to create a safe space. I feel so comfortable talking to you. I feel so, you know, I've heard that most of my life, and I think that hearing that, and then, you know, starting in raw form wellness out of my pain, it was on the cusp of a divorce, and I moved. A part of my healing after my divorce was movement, and so I incorporated movement into my licensure and my being a licensed mental health professional. But it was always about trying to first be aware of myself, aware of my gifts, aware of what I naturally do, as what was said earlier, what you naturally do innately that comes out of you that people say, oh girl, you good at, oh yeah, you. When people say that, it's important, but I have to believe that for myself. So is that alignment, and then that integration part, what you were saying as far as scaling up. For me, I never want to do something because it's trending. I had to feel it. I had to feel ready, and that's that intuition. And so for me, launching the LLC as a practitioner was almost what you're supposed to do. We get the license, and it's like you gotta be a therapist, so you do that. But like starting the website and posting on social media and taking contracts to do the work and actually being your brand, that's the next level up. And I had to do a lot of praying to make sure that I was ready for that. But I tell you, when you're walking in your purpose, it almost kind of just comes to you when you are taking opportunities that are aligned and you're boundaried and not extending yourself. You know, you're assessing your capacity. The opportunities just started to come to you, so naturally you scale up because you realize, I have to meet this opportunity with adequate capacity. And so that was kind of my journey.
I love it, and it's all about alignment. Like both the ladies said, you know, whenever you decide to start a business, it still has to align with who you are, right? So if you go and you try to start a cookie, look, I can't be Chef Shay, right? I can't do that, right? So you have to do what is in you, which aligns with you, all right? And then that makes it easy to grow because the people will come to you based on your authenticity of what it is that you are delivering, whether it's a good or a service, it's still based on alignment, and that's what I love. Like I feel like many of the entrepreneurs, if it's a struggle, it's probably not meant for you. That's what I tell people. Like if it's a struggle, it means that you're polarizing versus magnetizing it into you, and it's an opposition. So whatever that is, you have to understand it's okay though to pivot, because there are many times that we'll start in one segment and realize that this might not be it, let me switch, all right? So let's talk about growth. So Chef Shay, you started, and then how did you scale to where you are now?
It was kind of just basically like what you just said. It was like why all over the place. It's something that I did good at, and so what's the issue? The issue was that I was putting out, or that I was getting in. The issue was I was tired of being in the same place I was in my personal life and my career. The issue was that I wanted more for myself, but I didn't know where to go. So I began to just do the abnormal. I began to place